which commanded the stars, giving life its fullest brilliance. The Elden Ring. Oh, Elden Ring.
Hello, I am Sean of the Lore Hunter, and this is the first video of my Elden Ring So Far series, in which I cover everything we know about Elden Ring, an upcoming action role-playing game being developed by Fromsoftware. If you haven't watched one of my pre-release information videos before, my thing is that I collect and organize pre-release information and present it as thoroughly and factually as I can. This video will focus on the story and world of Elden Ring, including what we know about the development of the narrative and mythos, as well as discussing the themes and concepts being explored by this title. So let's start with what we know about the development of the story and world of Elden Ring. As mentioned previously, Elden Ring is being developed by Fromsoftware. In case you're unfamiliar with From, they are a Japanese developer known for Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and most recently, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. In a recent IGN interview, Hidetaka Miyazaki, the president of Fromsoftware and co-director of Elden Ring, explained that development for Elden Ring started just after the development for the Dark Souls 3 DLC had ended, so roughly early 2017. At the time, Elden Ring was being planned as a more classic fantasy title compared to others that were being considered or already in the early stages of development, such as Deracine and Sekiro. We wanted to create a new dark fantasy action RPG full of things that we weren't able to do in the Dark Souls series. Notably, Fromsoftware is working on Elden Ring in collaboration with George R.R. Martin, known for his A Song of Ice and Fire books. Miyazaki described the collaboration. The actual collaboration itself began with Mr. Martin ever so politely confirming what sorts of themes, ideas, as well as many game-related aspects I envisioned for the game. This allowed us to have many free and creative conversations regarding the game, in which Mr. Martin later used as a base to write the overarching mythos for the game world itself. Miyazaki added, Elden Ring's world was constructed using this mythos and stimulus as a base. So Martin wrote what Miyazaki described as a guide for the world's lore, about the mythos for the game, and Miyazaki wrote the story. IGN explained that Martin is not involved in the writing of Elden Ring's main story, because Miyazaki believes that the format of video game could have limited the potential of his storytelling. According to Miyazaki, both the main story and Martin's lore are heavily influenced by each other. Miyazaki explained that the player will be able to learn about Martin's mythology through exploration. We are known for letting the player explore the game's lore through fragments of environmental storytelling, and this time around Martin's story is what you will be trying to unravel. The period the player actually explores is still connected to the old times, so as you slowly discover why the world has become the way it is, you will learn more about Martin's mythology as well. For the development of Elden Ring, Miyazaki told IGN that the overall process of development has been the same as it was in Sekiro. With Sekiro, Miyazaki took a collaborative approach in creating the story and design of the game. He outlined the narrative and provided direction on game design, art, and music, and left his co-director and team to creating the details with his oversight. And it sounds like we can expect the same for Elden Ring. From E3, we got a CG teaser for the game and a few interviews with Miyazaki as our current official information. While we don't know much about the story and world of Elden Ring, which is to be expected as From is notoriously tight-lipped, we know that the eponymous Elden Ring is at the center of it. Miyazaki described it as a mysterious key element in the foundation of the world we have created. It forms the rules and rhythm of this world. The teaser describes it as
that which commanded the stars, giving life its fullest brilliance.
Similar to the first flame from Dark Souls, it seems to be a mystical element that holds the world together, and its shattering is a momentous event that is quite literally causing the world and its inhabitants to crumble. The rest of the trailer focuses on a cast of 6 unknown characters. They are mythical in how they are shown, with their appearances fantastical and larger than life. This teaser reminds me of the opening cinematics for Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, which introduced the mythology of the world and the major players in these mythologies. This is obviously speculation on my part, but my guess would be that the teaser is a recut of the opening cinematic, and they are legendary characters in the mythology of Elden Ring. There is speculation that this character is forging or shattering the Elden Ring. I personally don't believe these characters are interacting with the Elden Ring at all.
Oh, Elden Ring. Shattered by someone or something.
This leads me to speculate that the circumstances and motive behind the shattering are unknown and may be a central mystery to the narrative. Miyazaki explained that ring is not meant to imply a piece of jewelry, but a circle, and that the Elden Ring is the name given to a mysterious concept that defines the world itself. While there is imagery of shattering in the trailer, and I'm sure the game will feature plenty of shattering imagery, I remain skeptical that the Elden Ring being shattered will be as simple as someone smacking a mystical circle with a hammer. The last line of the narration says,
Don't tell me you don't see it. Look up at the sky. It burns.
While there is the possibility that the Elden Ring could be the sun, I think it is more likely at this point that the fiery sky is a physical manifestation or a reaction to the physical world to the Elden Ring shattering. Now let's talk about some of the themes in Elden Ring. Miyazaki has stated that Elden Ring is full of things they weren't able to do in the Dark Souls series. He added that, while for Elden Ring we are going back to Western fantasy, the game's themes are very different from our previous works, which means that beauty, justice, and strength will be different once again. That difference has a big impact on our games as a whole. I am very curious to see how Elden Ring differentiates itself thematically, because as you will see in a moment, it seems right now like there are some very similar themes at play. Miyazaki has stated two of the themes that Elden Ring will be tackling. For the first theme, he stated that the significance of the Elden Ring being shattered will be one of the important themes of the game. Extrapolating this a bit, I take this to mean that the game will explore a world where the unifying force that governs it is broken, and why it is broken. I'll be interested to understand the thrust of this a bit more, because in its broad strokes, this sounds very similar to the fading of the first flame from Dark Souls. The second theme Miyazaki mentioned was the will or ambition of mankind. This theme was specifically brought up in reference to some concept art that was released by FromSoft, showing off this character wielding a coiled sword and garbed in clothes made out of flesh. Miyazaki said, "We chose this character because of his eccentric aspects, as well as the way he portrays the darkness that the world and story possess." The theme of the will or ambition of mankind, combined with the darkness of the world that this character conveys, leads me to believe that Miyazaki has something of a pessimistic take on the results of mankind's ambition. This theory is bolstered by Miyazaki explaining why he doesn't make happy, bright worlds. Personally, a world that is happy and bright is something that just doesn't feel realistic to me. It may sound like I have a trauma or something, but I believe that the world is generally a wasteland that is not kind to us. That's just the way I see it. But this doesn't mean he designs worlds that are all doom and gloom. In a very Lord of the Rings sounding quote, Miyazaki stated, "Light looks more beautiful in darkness. When there is something beautiful in the middle of a wasteland, we are able to appreciate it more. One jewel doesn't look like much when you have a pile of them, but if you find one jewel in the midst of mud, it is worth so much more." I, for one, am very excited to see what jewels Miyazaki has hidden in the wastelands of Elden Ring's world. In this section, I'm addressing some speculation and rumors related to the story and world that have been posted. One of the reasons I started making my So Far videos is because, quite frankly, I got tired of seeing people present speculation or rumors as fact. Speculation and rumors are fine in theory, but often they're presented as information, which then build the foundation for more speculation, and suddenly expectations for what the game truly is are skewed, and the discussion around the game lives purely in the land of fiction. With my Elden Ring So Far series, I want to address the validity of popular rumors and speculation that pop up. while making very clear that they are not and should not be considered true or official information. Hopefully this helps keep expectations based in reality and the discussion more grounded. The first rumor I'm addressing is one you've probably heard of, and that is that in Elden Ring you will be visiting various kingdoms and defeating their leaders to gain powers. This rumor came from a video posted by Spawnwave in late March 2019. In this video, Spawnwave claims that he was given information by video games researcher Liam Robertson. So from a story and world viewpoint, the world would feature different kingdoms, and you are tasked with going to them and collecting powers from the leaders for reasons. This video also claimed that the world would be open world and that George R. R. Martin would be involved, which both ended up being true. So for that reason, I would say this rumor is possible, but still take it with a grain of salt. The second rumor I'm addressing here is that Elden Ring will be a Norse-themed Viking RPG reimagining Norse mythology. This rumor was first posted on 4chan in late May 2019. I would be very wary of buying into this rumor. This post does correctly guess that From is working with Bandai Namco, that the game was revealed at E3 with a CG trailer, and that it is something of a spiritual successor to Dark Souls. But none of those facts are hard to guess and could be said of almost any recent title released by From. On top of that, open world and George R. R. Martin are not mentioned, which are two big talking points about the game right now. There is no plausible basis for believing in this rumor, so feel free to hope for a Viking Norse-themed RPG if you want, but I think you'll be disappointed. The final rumor I'm addressing in this video is that, in opposition to the previous rumor, the world is very Tolkien and D&D in its foundation, with Celtic and Gaelic mythology of the United Kingdom and Scotland. This rumor was posted to Reset Era by user Omnipotent in early June 2019, just before E3. They mentioned George R. R. Martin and open world, amongst other vague details, but at this point I'd argue it was someone piggybacking on older rumors if it wasn't for the source. The biggest reason to put some stock in this rumor is that Omnipotent is a pretty reliable source when it comes to FromSoft rumors, and I believe the trailer supports this claim visually. The winged helmet shown here is commonly used to depict Celtic warriors. Also, this warrior has a metal arm that she affixes to herself. This could parallel King Nuada of Celtic mythology, who famously has a metal arm. And I don't think it's ridiculous to suggest that the Elden Ring symbol is evocative of a Celtic knot. On a weird note, the font for Elden Ring bears a strange resemblance to that of the Lord of the Rings movies. So while this rumor seems plausible, keep in mind that Lord of the Rings, D&D, Celtic and Gaelic mythology are just potential inspirations that can be ascribed to Elden Ring, and that George R. R. Martin is crafting a unique mythology for this game. So while you can go pick up some Celtic mythology books and browse through a monster manual, you will at most see sly references to these works, and not the content of the works themselves in Elden Ring. And that is what we know about the story and world of Elden Ring so far. In my next video I will be discussing the gameplay and mechanics of Elden Ring. And from there, who knows? Considering FromSoft's previous release schedule, they are on track to show off some gameplay and another trailer at Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show in the fall. And if that ends up being true, we might get a March 2020 release, but that is simply speculation based upon their previous titles. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something. Please like, subscribe, and ding the bell if you did, and would like to stay up to date on Elden Ring and get the most accurate and complete information. Thanks for watching.